Before we start, I want to clarify two things. First, this video is sponsored by CleanMyMac. But second, this MacBook Neo was purchased with my own money. It was not sent to me by a brand, and it was not an early media review unit. So this is not one of those first look reviews that was prepared before release. Instead, this is a real hands-on experience based on my own usage after actually receiving the machine. So this time, what I really want to do is not repeat the specs, but look at how this machine actually performs from the perspective of a real buyer. Is it good for office work? Is it good for content creation? Is the screen bright enough? How are the speakers? How fast is file transfer? Is multitasking stable? And when editing 4K video, does it actually lag? So in this video, I'm going to start with the unboxing and go all the way to real workload testing so I can show both the strengths and the limitations of this laptop in everyday use. So let's start from the very beginning, the unboxing. When I first received this MacBook Neo, the overall feeling was actually very familiar because Apple's packaging design has always been quite consistent. The retail box still follows Apple's usual style. It looks very simple, but the overall texture and quality feel quite good. Now let's open the box. As the lid slowly lifts, the laptop itself appears right on the top. And peeling off that film is honestly one of the most satisfying new device moments for a lot of people. Let's take a quick look at the exterior. The MacBook Neo continues Apple's minimalist design language. The whole body is made of aluminum and the build feels very solid. Next, let's take a look at what comes inside the box. First, we have the manuals and some basic documentation. Apple has always kept the accessories and paperwork quite minimal. You don't get a lot of complicated printed material, just the essentials and some quick start information. This laptop comes with a 20 West power adapter. It's quite compact, so it's easy to carry around. The charging cable is about 1.5 meters long, which is actually a very practical length for daily use. If you put all the accessories together, you can see that the contents are still very simple. The laptop itself, the charger, and the cable. It weighs only 1.238 kilograms, so it's very easy to carry around. It's 1.5 centimeters thick, which is pretty similar to my MacBook Air M2. The keyboard feels decent, but unfortunately there's no backlight. That said, I still wouldn't recommend doing heavy computer work in low light anyway. The trackpad uses a physical pressure click design, which is definitely a downgrade. Some people might not accept that, but personally it doesn't bother me much, since I usually use tap gestures rather than pressing down. Next, let's move on to the hardware configuration. One interesting thing is that the chip architecture in this computer is actually the same as the one in my iPhone 16 Pro. Apple is becoming increasingly good at building a unified logic of performance and efficiency across different devices, focusing on efficiency, battery life, ecosystem integration, and stable performance under light and medium workloads. The MacBook Neo I bought comes with 8 GB of memory and 512 GB of storage. Let's start with the memory. For document work, web browsing, opening multiple tabs, spreadsheets, presentations, and even some light photo editing, 8 GB is actually enough. And under macOS, memory scheduling is already fairly mature, so for light office work and medium workloads, the experience is stable. One thing I actually pay close attention to with this MacBook Neo is the storage, because this machine has 512 GB, and if you do content creation over time, that space can slowly get filled up with different kinds of media. So I personally do some system cleanup on a regular basis. And the tool I use is today's sponsor, CleanMyMac. It is notarized by Apple. First, let's take a look at the overall structure of the interface. On the left side, you have all the function modules, like Cleanup, Performance, Applications, Space Lens, and so many more. The overall logic is actually very simple. First scan the system, then manage different categories of issues based on what it finds. The feature I use the most is system scanning, because a lot of the things taking up space are actually invisible during normal use, like cache files, logs, and temporary files. Once the scan is complete, it shows detailed picture. You can clearly see how much space each type of file is taking up, and when necessary, you can clean them up directly. Another feature I use quite often is application management, because many times running out of space is really just a result of having too many apps installed over time. It lists all your apps by size, so you can quickly see which apps are taking up the most space. I also check performance from time to time. A lot of the time, when a computer starts slowing down, it's actually because too many startup items are running in the background. And here, you can get a very direct view of the system's background status. One feature I find especially interesting is Space Lens. It gives you a visualized view of your file structure. For example, which folders are taking up the most space, and which files are the largest. In that sense, it's actually easier than Finder when it comes to understanding what is really using up your storage. If you use iCloud, it can also help you manage cloud storage. For example, which files have already been synced to the cloud? All scanning happens locally on your Mac, so your data stays safe. So for me, CleanMyMac feels more like a long-term Mac maintenance app. If you also want to keep your system clean and organized, you can check it out. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code PAPERLESS for 20% off. Link is in the description. Now let's get back to the MacBook Neo itself. Next, let's move on to the screen brightness test. Let's start with the indoor environment. Indoors, this display actually doesn't feel problematic at all. Text looks sharp, interface clarity is good, and for writing documents, browsing the web, or watching videos, the experience feels perfectly normal. If you're just using it in an office, at home, or in a cafe, it doesn't really give you the feeling that the screen is lacking. But once you take it outdoors, the issue becomes much more obvious. First of all, the brightness itself isn't particularly high, and with direct sunlight, reflections make readability drop even further. To make this test more intuitive, I also brought out my iPad Pro M4 for comparison. When both devices are set to maximum brightness, the difference is actually very obvious. The iPad Pro M4 has a very clear advantage outdoors. The screen is easier to see and handles ambient light much better. Meanwhile, the MacBook Neo starts to look dim under strong light. So if you mainly work indoors, this probably won't be a problem. But if you often work outside or in bright environments, screen brightness is definitely something you need to consider. Next, let's test the speakers. To make the comparison more meaningful, I place the MacBook Neo and the iPad Pro M4 together, with my DJI microphone in the middle, and played the same audio track. First, let's listen to the MacBook Neo, and then the iPad Pro M4. On its own, the MacBook Neo actually sounds pretty good. The sound is clear, the mids and highs are clean, and for videos, music, or courses, it's perfectly usable. It doesn't feel thin or boxy. But once you compare it to the iPad Pro, you can still hear the difference. The iPad Pro has a bit more low-end depth, and the sound has more energy overall. That difference becomes easier to notice, especially with content that has strong vocals or drum beats. So my conclusion is this: the MacBook Neo speakers are totally fine for everyday use. But if you care a lot about speaker layering and bass response, the iPad Pro M4 is still better. Next, let's look at file transfer speed. This time I'm using an external PSSD rated at up to 1050 megabytes per second read speed, and I'm copying a fairly large file. For comparison, I'm also using my Mac Mini M4. The point of this test is not to chase some extreme benchmark number, but to get closer to real-world usage. Because for most people, the real question isn't the lab result. It's whether moving footage feels fast enough and how long exporting or copying files actually takes. Let's start with the MacBook Neo. I copied this 129.02 gigabytes file from the external PSSD to the desktop, and the progress bar initially showed about 3 minutes. The real measure time was around 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Then I copied the same file from the same external PSSD to the Mac Mini M4. The progress bar showed about 2 minutes, and the real measured time was around 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Overall, the MacBook Neo is fast enough for normal daily use. Whether you're copying video footage or backing up files, it's not so slow that it gets in the way of your workflow. Next, let's look at office multitasking. This part is actually very important because for many people, the real purpose of this kind of laptop is not editing feature-length videos, it's office work. I opened around 20 browser tabs, along with a document editor, a spreadsheet app, and a simple photo editing program. In this type of use case, the MacBook Neo actually performs pretty well. Switching between apps feels smooth, and whether I'm changing windows, copying and pasting, checking information, or working across multiple web pages, there's no obvious pressure. That's also why I said earlier that this machine really makes sense for students and light office users. Because for many people, the real workflow isn't running especially heavy professional projects. From that perspective, the performance of this machine is quite reassuring. But now it's time to push it a bit harder. The 4K video editing test. I'm using Final Cut Pro for this. I opened a real 4K video project to see how far this machine can go under a heavier workload. My conclusion first. If you're only doing simple editing, short videos, light timelines, and not too much media, then it's not unusable at all. In fact, some basic operations actually look fine. But the problem starts when you move into a larger, more demanding project. Once I imported around 90 gigabytes of footage and added more tracks, normal playback was still barely acceptable. But once I started dragging the timeline frequently or jumping between clips quickly, the lag began to appear. Especially when scrubbing quickly across the timeline, the responsiveness drops noticeably, and the system starts to feel like it can't quite keep up. So this isn't really a case of it's completely unusable. It's more like you can do it, but it won't feel good. In other words, this is not a machine I'd recommend for long-term serious editing work. So finally, who is the MacBook Neo really for? If you're a student, or if your work is mostly light office work, writing, browsing the web, handling documents, spreadsheets, and watching courses, then the MacBook Neo is actually a very good option. Even if you occasionally do some light photo editing or a bit of light video editing, it's not completely out of the question. But if your work involves a lot of video editing, more complex creative projects, or long periods of running heavy professional software, then you need to have a clear expectation of its performance limits. So overall, the MacBook Neo is a laptop that is very suitable for everyday use, but only if your actual needs match its positioning. It's not a do-everything machine, but in the right scenarios, it really is a well-finished product.